Just bury me with 20 bitches, 20 million in the countdown fitted. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up.
Hi. How you doing? I can get a sachet milk matcha. Thank you. And a black coffee.
Morning, I'm trying.
South Chocolate?
Yeah, thank you.
So anyone that's in an editing and you're like, oh, let's do the QR code.
Be simpler.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. Then you could add in like one of our students. So you could do like Melissa, who just made, she's on track to make $1 million this year. So after being in business for myself for about 14 years now, one of the best pieces of advice that I can give to you is also one of the simplest. And if I don't share this with you, then nothing else I'm going to share with you is going to matter. And it's that you have to start. Because I think it's so easy to get caught up in this perpetual loop, whether it's starting a business or something else, of waiting and waiting and waiting for the perfect time. And I actually heard a quote the other day from Peter Thiel, and he said, strategy is the perfect euphemism for procrastination. And what he means by that is it's so easy for our minds to convince ourselves that, oh, we're learning, we're perfecting the perfect idea or the perfect strategy or whatever that might be. But in actuality, what we're doing is we're procrastinating because we're afraid of failure. And we're trying to wait for the perfect time or learn the perfect strategy or find the perfect idea because our minds are just trying to reduce our risk of potential failure. And while I'm definitely someone who's all for reducing risk in business, the biggest risk is that you don't start. That 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're in the exact same place as you are today because you've just been sitting and perfecting this strategy or this idea. There is nothing that comes from sitting on the sidelines and watching other people play the game. You have to get on the field if you want to learn how to play it better. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned, being someone that has a natural tendency toward being a perfectionist and being in all these different business models and not fully understanding them the moment that I actually start them, but giving myself the opportunity to learn through action, is that perfection never happens on day one. Perfection is a result of optimization over time. So for all the perfectionists out there, if you really want to be a good perfectionist, then you have to convince your mind that perfection is going to come through being on the field, through learning as you go, from actually putting your idea out into the world, getting customer feedback and iterating upon that idea. There are so many stories of incredibly successful companies that put their idea out into the world, got market feedback, and completely pivoted from their initial idea to become huge companies. Instagram is one of these. If you don't know that story, go and look it up. It started as something completely different, and as we all know, became something massive, but only from actually putting that idea out and getting feedback from the market. That's how perfection actually can happen. It doesn't happen sitting alone by yourself in a dark room just thinking and thinking and thinking about the perfect idea or the perfect time to start. It happens from getting on the field and actually being bold enough to put something out there that's not perfect just yet, being really humble about it and asking the market what they think and continuing to iterate and improve from there. And just like anything in life, it starts with mindset. If we can't get ourselves out of our own way, then we're never going to begin. And I think specifically with business, it's really easy to get stuck in this mindset of, why me? Why would it be me that actually builds that thing or achieves that goal? And I definitely understand that, having, gone into the software industry now as someone that isn't your typical software founder. It's easy, if I wanted to look at it like, why would it be me? Why would I be able to achieve that goal? But you really have to have a voice inside your mind that fights back against that other voice that is not so nice to us when it does come up, and say, you know what, fuck that. Why not me? Why wouldn't it be me? Because the reality is, if we're always looking for reasons that it's not us, or it's not the right time, or it shouldn't be us, or we couldn't do that, then we're always going to find one. You've got to believe that it can be you, because emotions create thoughts, which create action or inaction. And so it all starts with getting out of our own way, believing that it can be us. Even when we might have some doubts, you've got to have a voice inside you that fights back against those doubts and says, we're doing this thing anyway. So I know it's incredibly simple, but nothing else matters if we don't actually start. You can watch all the courses and YouTube videos, and you can sit around talking about your ideas until the end of time. But if you don't actually get on the field and start playing the game, then what's the point? So whenever I get too in my head about if something's going to work or what's it going to be like, and I'm get caught in that state of thinking about the future, which is worry and anxiety, then I always just take action. Like, action is the antidote to fear and anxiety. So if you're not yet taking action, use this as the sign you need to actually just start. That is how perfection happens. All right, it is currently 6:04 on a Saturday morning, and I've been up for several hours already because periodically Hunter will decide that he wants to go surfing in San Diego and he needs to be in the water by the time the sun rises, which means that he puts an alarm on, like the awful Apple alarm as well, at like 3:30 a.m. I have this like hatch alarm, you can't see it over there, that has like a simulated sunrise and like beautiful handpan harmony wake up songs. Not Hunter. It's like the awful Apple alarm at 3:30 a.m. So naturally, I haven't been able to sleep since then, and I figured I would make use of this early morning, and I am gonna go check out a new little Pilates spot that I've been meaning to check out for a while, where all the little Malibu moms go. So I gotta find my toe socks, and we gotta get on the road. So although I don't enjoy waking up to Hunter's Apple alarm, I do enjoy being up early. All right, just got done with Pilates, got myself a matcha, and let me tell you, I earned this today. Pilates is hot. I completely forgot how hot it is. I used to go pretty regularly when I lived in Florida, but I haven't done it in a while. I've been working out at the gym, lifting weights, and you'd assume that if I'm able to do that pretty easily, that this wouldn't be a challenge, but my legs are shaking, my arms are jello, I was struggling, I was doing all the easy options, so Pilates humbled me today. My friend Danielle just called me and asked if I wanted to go on a little hike because it is a beautiful afternoon. So I am headed over to her spot, which is about an hour inland thanks to LA traffic. And we're gonna do a little hike, little work sesh, and some dinner. So I met Danielle about 5-6 years ago now. We were all a part of a business mastermind together, but I didn't actually connect with her too much in that just because the group was quite large. But during 2020, when everything happened, I was getting a little too housebound. It was just Hunter and I in a house for a very long time, and I needed some feminine energy. So I reached out to her and her business partner at the time because they lived in the same neighborhood, and we went for a walk together. One thing led to another. We realized that we had complementary skill sets, and they actually ended up asking me to come and work with them and partner with them at Boss Babe, which was something that I had never considered doing, but I'm really grateful for. And we did some really cool things over there for about 3 years together. And ultimately, I left to build MemberUp, and not too long after, Danielle exited Boss Babe, and now she works with us in MemberUp as well. And it's pretty cool to think all the things that happen just from sending one message. So, moral of the story, even if you're an introvert like me, if you just reach out to one person a day or even one person a week, your whole life can shift and change just because you sent one message. This is Danielle's contribution to the vlog. She's decided that she's gonna be the energy in the vlogs. Very impressive. Please rate in the comment section below Danielle's heel skips. Do you hear this heavy breathing? Yeah, but we made it.
I don't think we're as fit as we thought we were.
We're definitely not as fit as we thought we were, but it was worth it. Something I wish someone would have told me in the beginning is that you have to match your business model to your goals. Now, to explain what I mean, because every business is very, very different, I'm gonna jump on the computer for a sec. All right, the first question that we have to answer is, what are we optimizing for? Because if we don't know the answer to that question, then it makes it really, really hard for us to make decisions because we don't have a North Star. So in terms of income, what are we optimizing for? What is the income goal that you have every month? And just to be clear, this is not revenue. So this is not what the business is bringing in as a whole. This is what you're gonna take home after expenses. So if you have a number in mind, think about that and write that down. The second thing you want to ask yourself is, what do you want your day-to-day to look like? What do you want your lifestyle to be like? Because so much of the time we optimize for income only and we completely neglect what it's going to actually take to hit that number. And without thinking about the lifestyle involved to actually get there, then we can end up in a place where we're making the money we want, but we're not spending our time how we want. And to me, that's not a true definition of success. We want to optimize for both of those things. And then the third thing that we want to think about is, what are your unique skill sets? And what problem are you best suited to actually solve? Because a business just exists to solve a problem. So what problems have you experienced, or what problems do you have the skill sets to actually go and solve? Once we've figured out all of that, then we can move over into deciding what is the method through which we're actually going to solve that problem. So there's really only 4 different things that we can actually sell to solve people's problems. Now, the first one is software, and this is something that I have a lot of experience with in building MemberUp for the last few years. So if you're someone that's thinking of building a software company, here are some things to keep in mind. Now, the first is that you're going to have higher operational costs because you're going to need to hire developers, unless you're a technical founder, to build and maintain the product. And these are highly skilled people, therefore the cost to actually hire them and have them on your team is significant. The second thing is, it's often going to be a slower type of product to actually launch because you have to spend time doing market research, building the product, testing the product before you even go to market with it. The third thing is that it's often lower ticket, meaning that we're selling it for a much lower price than other items on the list, which we'll get to. Specifically, if you are selling B2C, so to consumers, think about the cost of a normal software product. It's like $99 a month, couple $100 at most a month, unless you're selling to businesses. So you're going to want to consider and factor in that you're going to need a much higher volume of customers to actually come in and pay for that product to operate the business and to ultimately turn a profit. And the last thing I'll say is, you probably look at this and go, why would anyone want to start a software business? And firstly, it's because they're really passionate to solve a problem. And secondly, it's going to be because software has really, really high enterprise value. So in my previous video, I talked about the fact that you can sell software businesses for a multiple, meaning that let's say you have $1 million in annual recurring revenue, you can actually sell the company for a multiple of that. Sometimes 10, 20 times. I've seen up to like 77 times a multiple. Depends on a variety of factors. But if you are building a business to sell, this is one of the ones that's going to have the highest multiple that you can sell it for. So if you want to be heavily involved in the business, have a really, really high degree of passion for solving the problem because of the amount it works to take to actually solve the problem, have a good amount of capital to actually invest, or you're really good at raising money to actually get that initial startup capital needed to start a software company, and you're someone that wants to be in it for a few years or longer to get to the place where you can actually sell the business, and you want to optimize a business to be sold, then maybe start a software company. But if that's not you, there are other options. Now, the next one is physical products. So let's say you identify that you have a problem that you can solve with a physical product. What does that actually look like? Well, you're going to need to develop the product. So there's going to be a period of time where you're investing money into product development. You're going to be sourcing suppliers. You're going to be going back and forth with samples and developing that product to get it to a place where you're happy to actually start selling it. Now, once you're actually selling the product, you will have to reinvest in inventory. Oftentimes, depending on the model, you will have to reinvest the money that you're making into the next batch of inventory that you can actually go on and sell. You'll also have to factor in storage and shipping costs, which naturally lowers your profit. And commonly, the way that physical product businesses and e-com businesses grow is either through paid advertising or influencer marketing, both of which cost money and eat into your profit margin also. However, physical product businesses, just like SaaS, do have a high enterprise value, meaning that they sell for a larger multiple. Meaning that if you want to build a business to sell, then physical product businesses could be a great business model for you. Now, the next model that you might deliver a solution through is services. And services require labor, either your own labor or people that you hire and you pay them for their time. Now, with service-based businesses, not all, but many are location dependent, meaning if I have a window cleaning company in Malibu, then I likely have an office in Malibu and a team in Malibu and a headquarters here. And so it's going to be a lot harder for me to live a life of complete freedom because I'm going to have some tie to having to be back here at some point. Now, there are agency-based models, there are online-based models that are providing digital services where you have more time freedom, but something to consider. Now, if you want to grow a service-based business, then you either need to spend more of your time, which has a cap on it, or you need to hire more people to spend more of their time to actually grow the business. And because it's so correlated, the growth is correlated to time, it is naturally just less scalable than something that's completely digital, like a software business, for instance. Next, you want to consider what the profit margin actually looks like. So let's say I do have an in-person window cleaning business in Malibu. I'm going to need to, number one, have a headquarters. Number two, I'm going to need to have like trucks and things for my workers, the people that work for me, to actually go to the homes to clean the windows in. I'm going to need to provide them with equipment. I'm going to need to provide them with insurance. And most importantly, I'm going to need to provide them with leads, right? People who are actually booking the services, which generally is going to be SEO based. So I'm going to need to pay for ads so that when someone types in window cleaning in Malibu, I'm one of the first ones that comes up. And I'm going to need to make sure that the profit after all of those expenses actually makes sense. And generally, the profit margin on service-based businesses, because of all these factors, is quite low. But the good news is, we're on to the last one, my favorite one, digital products. And it's my favorite for a number of reasons. Firstly, most people, they get into business because they want to create a life with more freedom in it and higher income in it. So if you're working a 9 to 5, most of the time you're like, gosh, I wish I could just free up my time, and I wish I could make just even a little bit more money. And digital products are the most easily accessible way I've found for people to actually achieve this. Because if you're working in a 9 to 5, you have a skill that you are selling your time to the business. So you're monetizing your skill by selling your time. Instead, digital products allow you to monetize your skill in a different way. Now, you do have to learn some digital marketing awareness. You do have to learn how to actually package up the value of your skill in a different way so that people actually see value in it. However, it's very, very easy for 99% of people to access this business model, and it has the shortest lead time, meaning that we can actually pre-sell, and we should pre-sell the product to prove that the market actually sees value in it before we go and create it. We can pre-sell so that we can actually start bringing in money with just an idea. Now, you can do this with some of the other models as well, but it's not as easy, I've found, as actually pre-selling a digital product. You can sell just the vision, just the idea alone, which gives you the confidence to continue. It also brings in some money up front, which is really motivating for an entrepreneur. And most importantly, it actually validates that the market sees value in it before you go and spend time building anything. Now, it also has the highest profit margins. So if you want a business that is going to give you a lot of cash flow, this is a business for you. Because commonly, the only thing that you actually have to consider, if you're doing organic marketing using social media, which is accessible to us all nowadays, you only have to buy, a couple softwares or something like that to actually build the product. It's also completely location independent. You can sell it worldwide. You can be anywhere in the world selling it. And the skills that you're going to need to master to actually do this is content marketing and sales. Now, a lot of the time I see people make the mistake of being extremely product focused. They're great coaches or they love building products, but they lack the content marketing and sales awareness to actually build this into a viable business. So if you want to master digital products, you need to master content marketing and you need to master sales. Honestly, those two skills are going to help you with any business model. Specifically in a digital product-based business, your success is going to largely be determined by your ability to create content and market the business and your ability to actually create content that sells. So if you're looking for cash flow, you're looking for a business that forces you to learn some really, really high value skills like content and sales. If you're looking for location independence, if you're looking for the highest profit margins, digital products is where I would recommend everyone start. And like I said, I share this with you because I hope that it can save you from getting into a business that you're maybe extremely passionate about, but a little naive to what it's actually going to take to be in that business, what your day-to-day is going to look like, what your actual income after expenses is going to look like. And hopefully by seeing, I like to call it kind of the map of businesses, it gives you a little bit of awareness of how to navigate it to actually get what you want out of life and business. I just got home from the gym and I am very excited today because anyone who knows me knows that I am obsessed with decor and making things beautiful, design, all that good stuff. And I actually ordered a rug online a very long time ago, and it's kind of how furniture deliveries go. You order them, you completely forget that they're gonna come, and then it feels like Christmas when they do. So today's a good day, we're gonna go install it. So this is our living room as it stands right now, and the good thing is we've been here long enough for me to pretty much get the place the way that I want it. However, we've had this rug for some time, and there are many things that have happened to this rug, and I figured it was time to get a new one.
Baby, too controlling, I'ma feed you to the wolves when you get nasty back at me. But baby, don't distract me, I'm a goner, I love
do you feel about it, Amy Sangster?
Needs to poof up a little more, but we'll get there. Give it like a week.
It looks exactly the same.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Something I wish more people spoke about are the different stages of business, because anyone here who started a business knows that it feels hard in the beginning, because generally you're a team of one, you're doing everything, you don't have systems for anything yet, and it feels like you're spending all your time in the business. And that's okay, that's normal in the beginning. But your goal in that beginning period is, while you're doing every task, to also be systemizing every task. Because once you have a system for something, meaning that someone else can come in and do that task at just as good as you can, without having prior knowledge of it, they can read your system, now they can execute the task. That's how you actually are able to buy back your time later on when you have the resources for other people to come into the business and execute those tasks for you. But unfortunately, so many business owners fall into the trap of never systemizing anything. And thankfully, I read a book early in my journey called The E-Myth, which talked about building your business from the very beginning as if it's a franchise, as if everything were a system that you were going to package up and sell one day. And building that way has meant that I can build something, I can work really hard in it for the first 3 to 6 months or so, build out and optimize all of the systems, but then I get my time back. So to me, I much rather kind of condense that period of work into as short of a period of time as possible, kind of do like a sprint in the beginning, so that I can get to the point at the journey. I kind of have a little diagram, I'll put it up on the screen, that I always think about, where things feel really, really hard in the beginning, and then it gets to a tipping point where they feel really easy. And unfortunately, what happens to so many people is that they give up on the part where it feels really hard, or they stay on that part because they don't understand that systems are what makes it actually get to the place where it feels really easy. So for me, I much rather do a sprint in the beginning. I much rather spend 3 to 6 months going hard at something than to spend 65 years of my life doing something that might be more balanced. I might have the evenings and the weekend off, but it's something that doesn't fulfill me and I can never actually get ahead doing.
Question. Also funny, someone was like, oh yeah, I use MemberUp, I love it. I didn't teach the 5 C's, I taught something else in the end, but it went down so well.
That's really cool that we're getting to a point where you're just meeting people now and they're already using it. I'm just on the way to tennis, but I will listen to the other part about your links and everything in just a second. So that was Danielle. She just went to a chiropractic conference in Miami to speak to a group of, I think it was like 500 chiropractors, because she previously was a chiropractor until she started her online business. So she told her story and she shared about MemberUp, and the cool thing is now we're getting to the place where she's meeting people and they're like, I'm already using MemberUp and loving it. So it's a really cool place to be in when you're meeting customers that are already using your product and loving it. So Hunter and I have been trying to get into tennis lately, and we've been doing it ourselves, but we realized that we suck and we need lessons, so that's what we're on our way to do. First tennis lesson.
I don't suck.
He sucks. We both suck. But we're not going to suck forever.
Not forever.
Down fitted, hold up, 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 hold up. Yeah, big shit poppin'. Section 8.
We suck about 0.1% less.
I'd say about 8%.
0.1% less. Many more tennis lessons needed.
Probably.
So before the week starts, I was just reviewing the data from last week to see what we need to focus on in the coming week to hit our goals. And it brings up a point that I think is really important, and it's the power of simplicity and optimization instead of new things all the time. Because I think what commonly happens is that you as the entrepreneur, you get bored of doing the same thing. And so you want to have a new marketing funnel or a new offer or a new team member or whatever it might be. You want newness because you're looking for a sense of excitement maybe in the business. Instead of actually making it really, really simple, it should get to a place where it's almost boring because you're not necessarily adding new things on all the time, but you're optimizing the one thing that you do have to get it to the place where it's extremely dialed in. Because if you build a business that is not simple, you're going to grow to resent it over time. And ultimately, if you're adding on new things all the time, you're never actually truly optimizing any of them. So a huge piece of advice is ignore the draw to new things that inherently comes up. Like, I got a million ideas all the time. but you've got to put people around you or have a process in your own mind for basically vetting those ideas and always running them through the filter. Is this the simplest way for me to get to my goal? Because you don't want to add more just for the sake of adding more. You want to keep it simple as possible so that you can just optimize and dial in that process. The last thing that I'll share is that business is a marathon, not a sprint. And so we have to be thinking about how we can conserve our energy so that we can keep running the race. And something that's going to completely drain you of energy is if you take every single thing personally in business. And you have to learn to detach your self-worth from the results that you're actually getting. Because if every single time you try something and you test something and you get a result that is less than desirable, if you take that to mean that you're not good enough or that it must mean something about you or your business, then you're just going to become extremely drained, and you're not ultimately going to have it in you to keep going, keep testing, keep optimizing to ultimately get that result, which is what it's all about. And a mindset that's really helped me is to treat it like it's a science experiment. So let's say you have a marketing campaign going out. Instead of going, oh my gosh, I've got to hit these numbers, obviously we want to, but we're going to test it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to let it go out, and we're going to get some initial data coming back in, and we're going to see what's going on, and then we're going to be able to tweak it and optimize given the feedback that we now have. And I think viewing things this way has helped me just remove it from being something that's personal about me, and ultimately given me a lot more energy because I'm just emotionally neutral. I'm not expending energy worrying about what it means about me or what people might think or that I'm a failure or all these other things. I'm actually just going, okay, this is what happened, and not assigning a story to it. Because it's often not what happens, but the story we tell ourselves about what happens that actually creates a lot of emotional distress. And so I don't tell myself stories about what's happening. If anything, I look for clues in the data about why it might have gone that way. And when we view it like that, then we can just pivot and make a shift and ultimately get the result that we're looking for. So if you're someone that's taking business really, really personally and you're finding it really, really draining, then maybe you can adopt that mindset and detach your self-worth from the results that you're getting, which is going to allow you to actually get the results that you want because you're going to have longevity and you're going to be able to keep testing and iterating to get that result long term. All right, guys, that's it for another one. I've really enjoyed showing up and documenting the journey more and making these videos for you. And I'd love to know what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, what questions you have, and I'll be sure to answer them in the next one. If you are enjoying following along, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you then.
Hey, feeling good.